All right, so we're in chapter 5 here. We're looking at changes, positioning a change for formal approval, right? We ask ourselves, does it need approval? And if the answer is no, do you need any help? No, then just do it yourself, right? If yes, then you got to get others who are involved and got to go through whatever it takes to get them involved. If you do need approval, right, is time important? And if time is important, right, you got to look quickly to who you can get to help you and push this thing through. So a checklist you might want to think about before you start walking through a change would be things like, what does a paper trail say about how all these formal structures work? What are the key points we need to think about? And how all these systems and structures are interconnected. And you change one, how does it change the other, and so forth, right? Those can get complicated in a hurry. We talked about developing a process map that tracks the change idea from start to finish. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have you do a schedule in here on the computer so you can track your changes on a computer project management software. And it looks very official when you do that. It looks like you're very organized. It doesn't change the content any, but it changes the appeal of it, and it gets people to jump on board sooner and with more energy because it looks like you're really professional, you're really organized, you really know what it's about, and it makes them think this change is going to happen because it's done in such a professional manner. So it increases its likelihood of success. So we'll have that in one of the modules coming up here shortly. Certainly things that help you when you have a well-placed sponsor, when you know their audiences, right? So there's a number of things you can do to improve your appeal. Certainly when you do your homework. When you have the right timing, right? So you got to properly prepare the crowd, the people for this change that's coming. We talked about coalition building, right? You're going to use data. You're going to use little pilot programs to show that this works, that show that it makes things better, to work the bugs out. You might not have a perfect answer. When you run a small pilot program, you can fix things without having a negative impact over the whole business. Get them fixed before you roll it out for everybody else. Plus, it establishes faith and actually just raises the awareness of this change by having it done as a small pilot project, and you'll get others to jump on board the bigger project quicker. And so this coalition building is a valuable clue. So you want people to help you. You explain them. You ask them for their help. You ask them for their inputs. Do you think this will work? How might I improve it? You make it, get them some ownership in this new thing, and they're much more liable to jump in and help you make it work. You certainly want to create involvements for other people to jump in, right? And get this coalition behind you, pushing it along, as we mentioned, right? So some things here to think about in the book about rolling out a new strategy and a new coalition with the new structure. So we want to show that gaining approval is less daunting when you show it aligns with missions. I started a leadership minor here at the college, and the first thing I did was I dug through the college's mission statement. It talked about making our students leaders for the future, right? So I quoted that in my rationale for starting a leadership minor, and it's in the mission statement. Who can be against leadership? And we say we're doing that anyway. So here's a way to help grow leaders, is to have a leadership minor where the students can study leadership in an organized fashion. So yeah, the minor sailed right through, and the organization adopted it very quickly because it would quite frankly be hard not to at that point. So some things we should think about, and we've gone through this before, is we certainly want to make sure that we do a systematic scan of the external environment. What's different? What's the same? Of the things that are different, is it good news or bad news? And what are we going to deal with that? Number two, what's the current level of performance and the desired level of performance? Right, and then how are we measuring that is number three. Number four, develop an external mindset. So where people are going to try new things, we see what's going on outside of us, right? We're not fixed in our own mode of this is how we do it around here. We're going to change things around, and create an organizational climate of openness and accessibility. So get people on board with the idea, creativity, openness, taking risks, trying new things, and all. And it's going to take maybe some training, and certainly some examples of how to go about that. We want to get people in continuous education about not only what's going on, but how to go about these new things. We're going to have multiple individuals who are going to act as advocates, not just one, so it's not just their thing. The more people we get involved and engaged, the better we are. So we're going to start having small victories and pilot programs and test it out. All right, so here's a look at our summary for the chapter. We talked about formal systems and structure, and they certainly influence change. We're going to work with, through, and around system structures, particularly if there's a lot of sign-offs in the way, if we don't have management completely motivated to help us. We're going to try to do it on our own and make smaller changes. We're going to work with the people and get them engaged so there's an acceptance of the change. Right? And then we'll move forward with this adaptive change in the formal systems and structure. We get them to see why this thing needs to change and get them moving forward with it.